Google changed the rules. AI changed the rules. Everybody now is playing by the new rules. And the new rules are really SEO, I'll call it 2.0. Who knows what number it should be. 2.0, which is really more theme-centric, usability-centric, expertise-centric, and AI-centric. And all those things get merged together. And now we're at 2.1, using that same escalation. And 2.1 means we really have adapted our content to be more to the new rules, because the rules changed. And if you don't know the rules, you're not going to be able to play the game. And the training I just did was heavily based on the fact that we have to change things. And, there's a trillion web pages out there that are written in the wrong way. There's a lot of websites out there that are written 10-year-old 1.0 technology. They haven't adapted to what the search engine wants right now. And it's bigger. So we have to take, and I'm not saying the 1.0 rules are gone, because let's face it, if you don't do it, you break it, and then you'll never rank. You have to do that, sort of pay your dues. But you also must extend it. And what we keep hearing are things like GEO and AEO and all the EO, EIEIOs out there. And part of the problem is those are really subsets of SEO. They're not their own thing. It's a focus that you build on top of SEO. And SEO is really still the guiding thing. And I'm not just saying it because that's what we do. I'm saying it because it's true. If you do SEO right and you do the extensions right, you're in AIO. You're going to show up. However, that isn't the only thing. There's something called SERP, SERP for Search Engine Result Page, SERP Visibility. Here's what we have to consider. When Google puts stuff at the top of the page, or any of its 40-some features they can stick up there, organic gets pushed down. We are finding across our customer base that rankings actually are a little better. We keep improving rankings. Rankings are going up, but traffic is going down, not because the rankings aren't good, but because Google keeps pushing organic farther down on the page. So we have taken the approach of, if you want to beat them, you have to join them. And fundamentally, we're looking at all the things that Google puts at the top of the page, and we're optimizing for that. We've got big processes in place to figure out what is good, what is working, how do we get ranked there? And a majority of how do you get ranked there is SEO. So we're still looking at all that. We're developing a lot of reports around it. We're determining what your coverage is. Are you in everything, or are you only in some things? The other thing that's kind of hard to target, just as a data point, on average, there's 8.3 features on the page. And it turns out that if one of those features isn't used, Google removes it. So it's kind of hard to figure out what your ranking is if Google's going to dynamically remove things. If it was always there, we can measure how you're doing. But sometimes it's fly by night. And so it's a difficult issue, but we are working it. What we want, here's our approach. You might be ranking in social, and somebody recommends a particular product answering your question. Well, if 10,000 people you've never met recommend a product, you're not going to necessarily run out and buy it. You're going to go to Google and search for reviews or something else. That means Google is the gatekeeper. And if Google is going to be the gatekeeper, what you need to be able to do is at the top of the page show up. You need to be in AIO. You need to be in People Also Ask. You need to be in Reddit or Quora, or you need to, well, there's a lot of different things based on the kind of question, but you need to be there. That is SEO 2.1. It is 43 light years ahead of 1.0. 1.0 is a foundation now. It isn't the entire thing. It is only the foundation, and we build on it. And 2.1 is, in my mind, where we're at. We're talking whole SERP optimization. That SERP visibility, that's what matters. That's what we're going to be working towards. We've got a lot of reports going on. We've got a lot of analysis going on. We've got a lot of pages, thousands of pages written that say, in order to rank here, here's, 400 things you got to do. And we're analyzing all of it and putting it in place. And does this matter? I mean, there's a lot of analysis, but we're going to be way ahead. The job of SEO has not gone away. Everything in training, the class is really worth its weight in gold, but everything that's in training is about how do I get there? And I'll tell you right now, folks, if you are not getting there, you lose because somebody else will. And the difference between just doing 1.0 and 2.1, that is, like radio and color television. I mean, it is entirely a different world in the SEO space. So I know I'm on a little bit of a rant, but I want you to understand SEO is certainly not dead. It has evolved. It is much harder. And by the way, you can read into much harder means more expensive, takes longer, different resources, different skill sets. Nobody out there has the skill set. You have to go take a course. I think that AI is stimulating people going to conferences. I think it's going to cause people to take courses. It's going to cause people to be here, and which is good for us overall. But I just wanted you to know this is what's going on in the world. If you want to get traffic from anywhere from a search engine, you've got to coordinate it. It's not a piecemeal, it's not a la carte. You gotta be really organized, and you have to know I do this, I get that. And that's the hard part of SEO right now. So we're moving towards the new era of SEO where it's full page. Can we get you ranked organically? Yes. But the prize is when you get organically ranked and you get AIO ranked. And then the prize after that is, and I show up everywhere else. No matter where they look on that search page, I show up. That's where we're going with SEO. I know a little bit verbose. I just kept talking, but folks, I think that was worth hearing. So hopefully it was a good preamble.
Yeah, no, that's actually really important. And just to kind of reiterate where you're coming from is that the problem that we're seeing a lot in speaking to clients and students is this common misconception about what is the use of AI and the use of SEO. And they think that these two things are completely separate, that SEO is an old, outdated term. You don't need to do SEO anymore. It's just all AI focused. And it's incredibly misleading. And we've talked about it in our other Q&As, and I don't want to get too bogged down on it, but we just need to keep hammering this home with everybody is that AI and SEO go together. Google has said this. This is like what they are saying, not us. Like they are the ones that have said this. Like, yeah, it's the same things you need to do in order to be seen through the AI is the same things you've been doing with SEO. So it's still SEO, but people hear that term SEO and they think it's old now. And it's very unfortunate because a lot of people are missing out. But it's good for you because now you know that these two things go together. And it's not just us, struggling with that. We've seen other people in our industry, other agencies and B2B marketers or B2C marketers, they're all struggling with that same concept, which is people think that SEO is old and outdated. You don't need to do it anymore. It's like, no, now you need to do it more than ever. That's what's happening. Actually, it's just people unfortunately have had this perception that AI is this magical thing that just now is taking over everything, and it is being integrated. But SEO is still the foundation of how you get seen in the AI. So just know that going forward, it's really, really important to know that distinction.
One of
But
the
without further
problems
ado, I'll go ahead.
let me jump in. One of the problems we have is that a lot of SEO agencies that are not very good at SEO, they're the ones screaming SEO is dead because that is a restart, a reboot for them on a new term. And they're going to try to be selling your competition on doing that and giving up on SEO. My personal view is that's an opportunity for us doing SEO right. That gives us an opportunity to greatly leapfrog them. And so, it's a two-edged sword. People are out there screaming SEO is dead and AIO is the way to go. And, um, and no, but if they want to do that, they're shooting themselves in the foot, and I'm not going to stop them. Just our enemies are going to die off by themselves. But that's just a personal view of mine.
Yeah, and we mentioned this too in one of the last Q&As, is that all the influencers or SEO personalities that are out there that start that with like SEO is dead, and then you have to click below to see what they actually meant. They're misleading you. It's a marketing tactic to say that phrase. They know better. They're using it as clickbait. It's very, very misleading. It's just to get you to be engaged. And they don't believe that it's not dead. They're just saying that to get you to click. So it's unfortunate because now it's created this problem of now everyone's like, well, I don't need SEO anymore. It's like you're actually hurting people by saying that. I know you're trying to get clicks, but can't do that, man. Just always be honest. All right. Let's before we rant anymore, let's jump into some questions, which is why we're here. So first question for you, Bruce. What is the best way to track clients' AI visibility? Do you have any suggestions for tools?
Yeah, there's an Ahrefs tool that's out there. I understand that SEMrush has a tool, but it doesn't seem to have any meat to it. We are developing our own tools with an advanced, really advanced database. It's the data that matters. And Ahrefs and SEMrush are developing their own data. We are buying the data, and the data is amazing. We're going to be able ultimately, not on day one, but ultimately we're going to be able to map that this organic search result was this many pixels from the top of the page, and week by week we can tell you how much further it drops. We're going to have data that is full coverage data where we can say, these are the features that show up for this keyword and how many are you ranked in. But a different keyword may have different features. And for those features, are you ranked? And then this other keyword has different features. And for those, are you ranked? That's part of the problem. There's no one size fits all. And I cannot say to you always that the features even show up in the search results. So yeah, it's a tough thing. I think Ahrefs is about as close right now. But we're developing our own reporting mechanism around that because that's part of SERP visibility.
Yeah, we have a lot more information coming out about that. I mean, you shared a lot about it, and we're rolling some of those services out. So again, it's not part of the training membership program here, but you can inquire about that with us. You can always reach out to us at bruceclay.com. Always happy to speak with you there about your site. So let's get to another question, Bruce. What are the metrics we should be looking at for AI rankings?
Aha. Well, part of the problem with AI rankings is that if you do a query and it shows up and you see your query and you're not ranked on the right-hand side of the AI area, but you're ranked well in organic. If you do a refresh, you may get the same page, but half the time, by the time you do two refreshes, you're going to get an entirely different set of results. If I do a query, then I do a refresh, then I do a refresh, I get different ranked pages. It answers the question differently, pulls data from different sources, and so the rankings will shift simply for the same query, simply by doing a refresh, which leads me to believe it's going to vary by time of day and geographic location and my web history, my emails, my behavior. So it's personalized everything. There's no way to really get rankings. It's going to be very confusing as to how well you're doing. Um, no, I don't know. It's still a little bit early. I think that um, we're getting closer. Um, and oh, by the way, just because you rank in something doesn't mean it's useful. That's a concern because you could have a local pack and nobody ever clicks on it. You could have a people also ask and nobody ever clicks on it. I mean, just because it's there doesn't mean it's valuable. So that's a big part of the analysis that we have to do. Um, AI, okay, so impressions are what are being counted. So all those little links or the right-hand side or things like that, some of them are good. We find that if you click on the little bitty link, which you think of as the source for that paragraph's quote or content, sometimes that just goes to another AI page, uh, an open window or something else. It doesn't always bring you to a website. And it's because Google is in the business of making money, and the last thing they want to do is actually send somebody to a website. So impressions across that overall scheme might be higher, but traffic you don't get. So Google is going to be counting, oh, look at all those little links. All those people got impressions. And if it didn't answer it and they did a refresh, all those other people got all those impressions. However, um, that just says somewhere in there, buried in a way that you can't see it, is a link to your site. That's an impression, especially for AI. What you want to do is you're going to have to show up on the right-hand side and you're going to have to get that traffic. And the way to show up on the right-hand side, even though they don't show up when AIO is there, you have to target featured snippet optimization. It used to be every time we were the featured snippet, we'd be number one. But Google decided they weren't going to show featured snippet and AIO at the same time. So now we just rank number one. There's no featured snippet, and we can be in AIO. What you want to do is target featured snippet. That's the safest thing you can do today. You have to understand that Google cares about certain things. Schema apparently is more important. Asking a question and answering it in your content. So you don't just answer the question, you actually have to present the question, then present the answer, then present something very useful that will help them implement the answer or clarify the answer. And then all of that collectively may bias AIO to give you one of the rankings. We end up pretty consistently right now for rankings of our questions. We're developing more advanced technology to facilitate doing that. Um, it's going to be busy work. It's going to be busy work. Earlier, I mentioned that there are a million websites out there with old data, and yours may be one of them. And if you do not approach the content on those websites correctly, if you don't update that content, that is the biggest problem we have. People have old websites that followed different rules. They were good, but they were different rules. They are not adapting to the new rules. That website isn't going to show up. If you want to, the price for the free content or traffic, the price for your free traffic is that you're maintaining your site to the new rules, not the old ones. If your website loses ranking, it doesn't say you broke something. It just says the rules changed. And if you're not going to be playing by the rules, you're not going to get the traffic. So if you play by the rules I think if you target featured snippet, if you ask and answer questions and you provide a comprehensive answer per question, you're going to have a chance to show up in AIO. And that's the way we're approaching it, and it's working for us.
Yeah, and there's, like you said, there's a lot to be said about this subject, and there's a lot of things that we are still learning as we go along, trying to grasp the new concepts that come around with AI and what are the metrics that we should be looking at. And something that we want to just reiterate here that's very important is because since these AI rollouts are relatively new, if your site is reliant, or if your business is reliant on your website to generate business for you, I imagine you're probably going through some downward trajectory on your traffic since these AI overviews have come into play. And as an SEO agency, this is what we spend 24/7 trying to adapt and learn. And even we struggle with it sometimes. And I can only imagine that your business, which is probably not as focused as we are on this, is probably struggling even more so. And this is the reality of what we're facing with these AI changes to the SERP, is that you pretty much just need to start working with professionals because everybody's going to get left behind. Like this is really, really challenging stuff and it's evolving at such a fast pace. So I just can't emphasize enough that maybe it doesn't have to be us, but you probably should look into looking at some experts or having them come on board your team because this is really challenging stuff. There's a lot to take in. A lot of things are moving at a different pace. And again, like we have a great method. We're very confident in what we can do and we can always help you. But if you have a small team and they're not sure how to deal with this, trust us, you should probably reach out to us and talk to us about it because this is challenging stuff. It's changing at a rate that's very, very hard for even us to keep up. And this is what we do all day. So, and we've been doing this for 30 years. So I would highly recommend give it some thought, give it some consideration. We're always here to help.
One
Um,
of the things I'll mention in the very beginning, SEO was highly volatile, but it stabilized. And I started saying, well, every Monday it's a new industry. Every week you get stabilize and re-understand the rules on a weekly basis. With AI, it's every time the little hand moves to a new hour. Every time the big hand touches the 12, there you go. And it's very, very volatile right now. I don't, think about ranking. If Google keeps dynamically changing the elements on the search result page, how do you have ranking? How do you measure? I used to be number one in this element, and then Google took it away. I mean, do I rank? And those are tough questions. What do we want? We want to appear everywhere. If they're not showing it, I still want to be there when they do. Um, and if I rank here, there's a good chance it influences my ranking elsewhere because I'm more trusted. So yeah, it's a tough dynamic environment. It certainly is.
yeah, volatile is, I think, the best word to describe it. It's incredibly volatile and it's challenging, but always here to help. But that being said, let's jump into another question for you, Bruce. Are there specific content formats like FAQs or how-to guides that perform better in AI and LLM results?
Yes.
We won't tell you.
Well, all right. So if you look at our blog posts, which are still experimental to a certain degree, we have an FAQ on every page. And the FAQ is not a one-hit wonder, a paragraph long definition. The FAQ that we use has to do with the content of the page. It doesn't focus on, oh, what are my hours? That's very specific to your business. Our FAQs answer complex questions, and that format kicks butt. Now, can you still have something that says, what are my store hours, or what's my street address, or a little just tidbits of data? Yeah, that's an answer box kind of a thing. But it's the featured snippet that really is the strength. You logically are recreating the entire AIO in your FAQ the way we do it. We're answering it fully. And If you answer it as fully as AI would, AI is going to trust you. You just have to be able to go through the complex process of doing that. So that's the way we do it. I think that that's the way it needs to be done. We've gone so far as to actually build it into prewriter.ai. So I think you'll find that if you do something similar to ours, it'll work. An example, go to one of my blog posts, use the jump link, go down to the FAQ question, highlight the question and do a search. There you go. We're in the top 1 or 2, and half the time we're in the AIO results for the question. And we have that on 2,000 pages. So Google's going to see that we have answers that are complex answers across our website. And after a while, they're going to think we know what we're doing. So trust is a big deal. Having questions answered is a big deal. I think every website needs to do it if they want to survive 2 years from now. You've got to be answer centric, and you have to have bought into the fact that you're going to pay the dues to get the traffic.